First of all, let me say a big thanks to the kind men who helped me get on the stage. Thank you so much. Onto the stage which is not accessible for me, so that I can give a talk on accessibility. I mean, the jokes do write themselves, don't they? Yeah, so anyway, for a wider world, that's the name of the talk. And it will be in 3 parts: disability, accessibility, and dignity. So let's not waste any more time and get straight into the talk. My name is Sulthana Razmik, and I am disabled, if it wasn't obvious. And it's disabled, not differently abled or specially abled or anything like that. Because these phrases, differently abled, specially abled, magically abled, all these are sugar-coated terms that you use as practically euphemisms. And euphemisms are for taboos, things that you don't talk about. And I believe disability is the opposite of a taboo. It is something that you definitely should talk about. Which is why I said I am disabled, not differently or specially or magically abled. Now, disability by definition is any condition of the body or mind that makes it more difficult for the person with the condition to do certain activities or to interact with the world around them the way that other people can, right? And there are 2 parts, there are 2 sides to disability. There's the medical side and then there's the social side. I'll explain it to you. The medical side is basically like, let's say a person becomes disabled, right? I became disabled, I got paralyzed below my waist, and I'm taken to a medical facility, right? I'm given healthcare. I get medicines, I get treatments, I get, therapy to help me with this physical impairment, this thing that is stopping me from doing things, from living my life, right? So then, it's practically taken care of, right? In the medical side, they analyze my situation, they assess it, and they come to a conclusion. I am paralyzed below my waist, my legs don't work. So what do? Let's give her a mobility aid, a wheelchair in my case. And then they taught me how to do things in this wheelchair so I can live my day-to-day life, right? So it's taken care of. My non-working legs were the problem is fixed. So the medical side has done their part wonderfully. And then they send me off into society. There comes the second part, the social part, right? Because let me tell you this, when I was in the rehabilitation center, that is where they teach you how to use your mobility aid and how to do things with your mobility aid, I did not for a single second feel disabled. It was just something in my medical record. I did not feel disabled because I was able to do everything completely on my own. I did not need anyone else. I was completely independent. But then I go out into the society and oh boy, have you seen the world? The buildings, the infrastructures, the way that they be infrastructuring, it's not for me. It's not for people like me. So what happens is, I face this physical problem and then it's taken care of through medical means. And then I go out into the society, into the world, and I am disabled all over again. You see what I'm saying? Even the word disabled, look at it in a linguistic way, because I am a linguistics enthusiast. I'm doing masters in English, and I'm also a part-time English teacher. So when I see the word disabled, I think to myself, okay, that is past participle. So the sentence is in a passive form. Rama killed Ravana. We know who killed Ravana. But Ravana is killed. Who killed Ravana? We don't know. That's the same as saying somebody is disabled. Disabled by who? Disabled by what? It's in the passive form. There's something hidden, something omitted. And now you have the answer. Disabled by the society. There you go. Which is why this second part is very important. Accessibility. This is what helps people with disability be included. You see, like I told you, I did not feel disabled in the rehabilitation center because I was accommodated. It was completely accessible in there. Everything was accessible. I could do everything on my own, so I did not feel disabled. They did not disable me. See what I'm saying? But I go out into the society and I become disabled all over again. Why? Because of the lacking of tada. There. Now, accessibility comes in lots of different forms. There is, infrastructure like ramps and elevators and accessible bathrooms and all that stuff. And then there's digital, there's art, text, and sign language interpretations that you see on like news channels and things like that. So all kinds of different accessibility measures, right? But how much is it implemented? You go out into the world and look around. Look at all the shops, all the public spaces, all the schools, all the ATMs. How much of it is accessible? Like if you make a checklist, you go out and look at all the buildings and eliminate all the places that are not accessible, you will have very few options. That is how we're living day to day. Okay? And accessibility measures are not a generosity or welfare measures. It is a constitutional right. There is a provision in the Indian Constitution called the RPWD Act of 2016 that makes it mandatory for all sorts of public buildings. And public buildings means any building that is accessed by the public accessibly. That does not mean government buildings only. Any building that is public, used by the public. That includes workplaces, educational institutions, everything. But that stays in paper. Why does that stay in paper? Because nobody wants to care about a problem that does not affect them. Look at you, 90% of you people are not disabled. You're not disabled as of now. You're not disabled yet. Okay? So it is your problem. Let that sink in. Now, while that sinks in, let's get to the last part, dignity. Because some people think that accessibility is as long as this disabled person can do the thing that they want to do in some way. But no. I included this part for two reasons. To answer all the people who see help being available as an acceptable way to manage inaccessibility, and to educate you on how to treat a disabled person. Now, let me tell you some stories from my personal experience to help you understand this. I have stayed in paid guest places and hostels and places like that, and most of the time the cafeteria or the kitchen wing or these facilities, they are not accessible. And what do? They usually just arrange someone to get me my food to my room, which is good, nice, VIP treatment, very nice, until they forget. And even when they forget, I can go remind them and they'll do it the first few times. After that, well, their faces start to change and they start scratching the back of their neck going, "Do you really need it now? Could you maybe ask someone else?" And boy, that is not that great, let me tell you. See, there was this barber shop that I used to go to regularly to get my hair cut, and it's not accessible. There's no ramp or anything, but the people there would help me up inside by lifting the wheelchair the way you saw in the beginning of the talk. And I was a regular customer until the last time I went there, when this guy told my mom, "Don't bring her here for the next haircut." While I was sitting there. These kind of things break you. They shatter you because that is an attack on your dignity. See, if I could just get my own food, I would not have to wait on anyone's mercy to eat. If I could just get inside a place without inconveniencing people, I would be treated like a regular customer. I would be treated with respect. I will have my dignity. That is why the proper kind of accessibility, the kind of accessibility where the disabled person can do the thing by themselves, is important. Because improper accessibility is inaccessibility. And help will always be generosity, not accessibility. Let me say that one more time. Help will always be generosity, not accessibility. So, with everything I've said so far, all I want is to ask you one question. I want you to look within yourself and ask this one question. Is this the world you want to live in? Is this the society, the community that you want to represent? Are you okay with enjoying your non-disabled, able-bodied privileges and just living your life with that bliss of ignorance? The world needs to be wider. Thank you very much. The future is accessible, and you guys are the future.